I'm about to say something that may be really hard for you to hear. The way that people are loving you right now is a reflection of you. And I know most people don't want to believe that because it's easier to think that they're just emotionally unavailable. Or I keep picking the wrong person. Why does this keep happening to me? And it's not that you don't deserve better. It's that somewhere along the way, you started accepting less than what you deserve. And you started accepting less than what you actually want. You learned to stay when something felt a little bit off. You learned to overextend to be chosen. You learned to ignore your own needs just to keep something going. So today, we're not just talking about love. We're talking about what standards you're setting without even realizing it, and how shifting that changes everything. Welcome to the Inner Launch, where we talk about rebuilding your self-trust, reclaiming your identity, and creating your next chapter from the inside out. I'm your host, Christina Volkovich, and today's going to be a little bit different because we're talking about your part in this, not just everybody else's. So what most of us don't realize is that people aren't guessing how to treat us. They treat us one way and we either accept it or we don't. And every time that we accept something that we don't want, we're teaching them that it's okay to treat us like this. That means that if you're tolerating inconsistencies, emotional unavailability, like avoidant behavior, or disrespect, that becomes the standard. That is why self-love is so important. Because when you love yourself, you know what you will and won't accept, and you don't accept it. Self-love is what you allow. Self-love is what you accept. And self-love is what's reinforced. That means that if you love yourself, you're not going to accept that bad behavior that you don't want in your life. If you've got a version of that potential partner that you want, stop accepting all the things that you don't want. That is part of self-love. You are loving yourself enough to say, this is what I do want and this is what I don't want. And I am not going to accept anything else in between. I'm not going to allow any of that bad behavior. I'm not going to allow that type of behavior that I don't want in my life. For me, my significant other, or whatever I'm trying to build, I don't want it in my life. You have to love yourself enough that you are able to say those things and actually back them up and reinforce them. And here's why. Because when you don't love yourself enough, you just try to be chosen. You keep wondering, why do I keep getting into these relationships? Whether they're friendships, actual romantic ones, whatever they are, you keep getting into these relationships and wondering, why do I keep having the same issues? It's because you haven't learned how to love yourself enough where you're going to set those boundaries and say yes or no to the things that you do and don't want. So you do all the things to be chosen. But when you do love yourself, you become the one that's choosing. You stop over-explaining, you stop overgiving, and you stop shrinking to be liked. You shift from how do I get them to love me to do they even meet the standard of how I love myself? Your boundaries become clearer and non-negotiables. When you have self-love, you have clarity around what you will and will not tolerate. Without it, that's where the blurred lines come in. And that creates confusion, emotional chaos, and turmoil in your brain. And with them, creates calm, grounded, and direct energy. And that direct energy is how you know that you're changing and setting those boundaries. Boundaries aren't about controlling others. They are about protecting your self-worth. People don't respect unclear boundaries. They respond to what's consistently enforced. So if you are enforcing the choose me, that's what you're going to get. If you're enforcing the it's okay that you're avoidant, that's what you're going to get. If you're enforcing the it's okay, this is just how you are today, that's what you're going to get. When you set these boundaries, that means that you're no longer seeking validation from others. When people need constant reassurance, that creates pressure in a relationship. But when you validate yourself, you actually become more attractive to others because you're secure, you're grounded, you have a magnetic energy or an aura that people feel drawn to. People can feel the difference between someone who needs love and someone who chooses love. When you have these clear boundaries, you start to recognize the red flags faster. Self-love actually sharpens your awareness. You stop making excuses for the other person. You stop romanticizing potential. And you stop ignoring your intuition. You're observing and deciding. You're the one that's creating that emotional safety by loving yourself. So you don't need to go find it and validate it in others. Loving yourself means that you have emotional regulation. It means that you trust yourself enough to decide if it's right for you or not. It's trusting yourself that you know what's best for you. It's trusting yourself that you can make the right decisions and that you will make the right decisions. Trusting yourself means so much, and it's so important that you love and trust yourself first, because it's going to teach others how to love and trust you. And when they learn how to do that, that's going to create safer communication, deeper intimacy, less chaos, and more stability. You start attracting aligned love, not just available love. Those are very different things. We don't want the ones that are just available. We want aligned. And that is what you get with self-love. And when you don't love yourself, the consequences are attracting what's feeling familiar. And that may be exactly why you feel like you keep repeating the same things, because you don't love yourself enough yet. It all comes down to rebuilding that relationship within yourself and rebuilding that love within yourself. Here are some easy ways to tell the difference. Familiar may feel emotionally unavailable, inconsistent, and triggering. I don't know about you, but that's not the type of love that I want. When you love yourself, though, it can feel steady, reciprocal, and respectful. That's the kind of love that I want. And I hope that's the kind of love that you want too. That means that you are not chasing. You are walking away. That is the biggest sign that self-love is visible. Because you stop trying to convince others to choose you, to see your worth, to treat you better. And instead, you're walking away knowing that you know how to treat yourself the best of all, and that no company but your own is still better than somebody not treating you well. The moment that you truly love yourself is the moment that you stop negotiating with your worth. And yes, this may take a longer time to learn, and it may take a lot of relationships of any kind to figure out what you will and won't accept. And that's okay, because that's what it's all about. As long as you keep taking those steps towards loving yourself, and knowing that you won't accept the things that you don't want anymore, it gets a little bit easier each day. So make sure that you are working on rebuilding that trust within yourself and creating that love for yourself, because that is exactly what's going to get you the love that you actually want. It starts with yourself. You don't get the love that you want. You get the love that you believe that you deserve, and the love that you are willing to hold the standard for. If this made you realize that you've been accepting less than what you deserve, this is exactly what we rebuild inside of my coaching program. Because once you shift how you see yourself, your whole world changes. So if this resonates with you, I'm going to invite you to subscribe, send this to a friend who may need to hear it, and see how we can work together in the show notes. This has been another episode of The Inner Launch. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!